underground fire service piping and water supplies, testing and inspection.
Materials must not obstruct fire equipment access. All fire hydrants must be fully operational and charged. Where installed fire hydrants are non-operational or taken temporarily out of service, they must be identified either by a black bag or approved out-of-service signage. It is important that the project inspector notify the fire department when any fire hydrants are out of service. All fire hydrants accessible by the local fire department with an all-weather hard surface. Remember, this is not necessarily the actual finished paving for the fire lanes. Testing and inspection. Automatic fire sprinkler system underground piping, trenching, minimum 30-inch depth, 36 inches under roadways and driveways. Trenches must be clear and free of any debris. Piping must be laid on clean base fill. For the piping, ensure the restraint is installed, thrust blocks or mechanical restraint, sizes and location, that the materials comply with specifications, that any rods, bolts, nuts associated with mechanical restraint are protected from corrosion, and that they are torqued per the testing of the manufacturer's instructions. Trace wire or tape is installed. Refer to Inspection Manual subsection 2F1. Pressure testing at 200 psi for 2 hours minimum. Project inspector is to observe the pump up of the pipe pressure from 0 on the gauge as it rises to 200 and note the starting pressure and time. In order for DSA to accept testing, the project inspector is required to be present. Observe that the test gauge when pressure is released. Gauges that drop too fast may indicate that there was something wrong with the test. Piping plugged just downstream of a pump is a possibility. Require that the pump be disconnected during testing. Continuing with our underground piping inspection, verify that the fire hydrants are installed with correct orientation to the street, that they are accessible and unobstructed, that the flow test has been performed and results documented. Control valves have been installed, outside stem and yoke, otherwise known as OS and Y, often at the backflow preventer, underground gate valves, and post indicator valves. That the FDC, or fire department connection, is installed, also with the correct orientation, that the listed check valve has been provided, and signage as to what the fire department connection serves has been provided. A copy of NFPA 24 Acceptance Testing Certificate has been located in the resource section for your review.
The underground fire service piping must be flushed at a rate of 10 feet per second minimum until clear of any and all debris. It is important that this test be observed by the project inspector. After the flush test is performed, the hydrostatic test may be completed. This test is conducted at 200 psi for 2 hours. There should be no visible major leaks in the piping during the test. Where a fire pump is installed, the test pressure may be higher than the 200 psi. Prior to pressurizing the pipe, it should be center weighted with fill to hold it in position. The joints should be exposed so that they are clearly visible to the project inspector. Again, the test needs to be witnessed by the PI. We want to perform the flush test prior to the hydrostatic test to clear the pipe of any debris. This is important so that contamination is not transferred to the above ground piping for a fire sprinkler system, which may block the piping or block the sprinklers. One should note that the installation of a fire sprinkler system occurs in two phases, one associated with the underground piping, the other with the above-ground system piping. They can occur at different times or simultaneously. Overhead piping will receive its own set of inspections and tests separate from the underground piping. When all tests and inspections have been completed, the system is then itself deemed complete and operational. The fire sprinkler inspection shall be performed in the following sequence: the rough-in stage, verification of pipe sizes, installation of seismic bracing, hangers, and seismic joint connections, location and type of sprinklers. Then the hydrostatic pressure test for any leaks, followed by the final test where water flow detection devices, including the associated alarm circuits, shall be flow tested through the inspector's test connection and must result in an audible alarm on the premises within 5 minutes after such flow begins and until such flow stops.
The required documentation of testing and inspection is to be completed by the contractor and provided to the project inspector for the school district and owner, otherwise known as the Contractor's Material and Test Certificate for Underground Piping. Refer to NFPA 24, Figure 10.10.1, is to be provided at the final inspection of the underground piping and appurtenances. All operation and maintenance manuals for backflow preventers, control valves, fire hydrants, and fire department connections are to be provided to the project inspector. Note that NFPA 24, Section 25.4, amended in Chapter 35 of the Building Code, the fire protection contractors provide the owner or the owner's representative with the following: all literature and instructions provided by the manufacturer describing proper operation and maintenance of any equipment and devices, a copy of NFPA 25, 2013 California edition. They are also to provide a copy of California Code of Regulations Title 19, Chapter 5, titled Fire Extinguishing Systems. Here's a copy of the contractor's material and test certificate. Ensure that all appropriate blocks are completed and that it is signed by both the contractor and the project inspector. Remember, the project inspector is signing as the authorized representative of the school district. Here we have an example of a flush test being performed. The hose end is anchored, and the use of a burlap bag or gunny sack or some other porous material to catch debris is provided. Refer to Inspection Manual subsection 2, E.2.4. In reviewing these pictures, let's take a look at the left picture. Note that the hose does not have a bag or other device attached to catch any debris, although it has been properly supported and anchored to the vehicle. The capture of this debris is necessary to verify the pipe is clean. Remember, the test velocity should be sufficient to achieve a 10 cubic foot per second flow rate. Refer to Table 10.10.2.1.3 of 2016 NFPA 24. Keep turning the bag inside out and then flush again until the bag is clear of any debris. This flush may require more than one attempt. Such items that have been discharged during the test: aluminum cans, bolts, wrenches, rocks, and other debris. Remember during the test that this is under pressure. Ensure that no personnel or other people are in the path of discharge from the hose, or injury may occur. Objects in the piping can be shot out. during the test. Per NFPA 24, Section 7.3.2.1, each hydrant shall be opened fully and water flowed until all foreign material has cleared. Hydrants are to be opened and closed slowly to prevent damage to mains resulting from a water hammer. NFPA 24, Section 7.3.2.2 tells us that the flow shall be maintained for not less than 1 minute or until the piping is clear. NFPA 24 Section 3.3.16.2 outlines the flush test requirement. It states that a test of piping system using flow rates intended to remove debris from the piping system prior to being placed in service. Some water jurisdictions require that all water be captured, no runoff, to any storm drains or public disposal. This needs to be verified with the local authority prior to testing. Here's a picture of some debris that was collected during a flush test. Any of this debris, if not caught, could become trapped in above piping for sprinkler systems and contaminate the piping or obstruct the flow through any piping or sprinkler heads. This is why the flush test is performed prior to any connection to above ground piping.